the tradition, but I've used my own judgment to evaluate what is useful and what is right for me. I've accepted some ideas and practices, but I have rejected many of the basic premises of the tradition. I'm a student, friend, and fan of Buddhism, but also a critic. So to be clear, what I am offering you here is a Buddhish book, not a Buddhist one. It is a Buddhish book. It is not a book written for Buddhists or for scholars of Buddhism. If you have an extensive background in Buddhism already, yet you insist on reading this book, then I assure you that you will find it objectionable. You'll say that it's oversimplified, that it's skewed, that it's idiosyncratic, and that it doesn't do justice to your own particular understanding of or approach to Buddhism. So, if that's you, please look elsewhere. This book is intended for people who are complete newcomers, who don't already have a strong view about Buddhism one way or the other, and who are curious to learn what it's all about in a light-hearted way without any doctrinal heavy lifting. Why am I writing this book? Well, I think we need this kind of introduction to Buddhism. With mindfulness on the covers of magazines in the grocery store checkout lane and Dalai Lama memes all over the internet, Buddhism is seemingly everywhere these days. Even so, it's difficult to find a good introduction that speaks to ordinary people. Bookstore shelves are piled high with how-tos, written by monks and meditators who preach the virtues of devoting your life to Buddhist practices. On the other end of the shelf, there are thick academic tomes that detail the history and doctrine in mind-numbing detail, some of which I myself have written. This book is intended to fill a niche between these extremes. If you are curious about Buddhism and are looking for an accessible introduction in plain English, if you are open-minded to learning about what Buddhists think and say, but don't necessarily want to be pressured to commit yourself to adopting these convictions yourself, then this is a book for you. Before we start, I would like to ask for something from you. Even if you don't know very much at all about Buddhism, I am sure that you already have some preconceptions. Just by virtue of being a literate person alive in the 21st century, you have, I'm pretty certain, already absorbed certain stereotypes about it. You probably associate Buddhism with peace, with mental health, with friendliness, and with harmony. When I say Buddhism, the first image that comes to mind is likely the smiling face of the Dalai Lama, a meditation teacher sitting on a cushion in lotus posture, or a golden Buddha statue from one Asian country or another. You may already have a feeling that Buddhism is a philosophy or a science of the mind, or a lifestyle that attracts certain kinds of people. I'm going to ask you to try to leave all of these preconceptions behind before you start reading. As I will demonstrate, a lot of these ideas are based on superficial or even wrong-headed notions of Buddhism. I'm going to ask that you, as much as possible, try to start this book with a blank slate. In the words of the pioneering Zen teacher Shunryu Suzuki, 1904 to 1971, do your best to bring a beginner's mind to this endeavor. Please let these pages take you on a journey to an unfamiliar land, and allow yourself to be surprised and expanded by the new sights you find there. This journey will introduce you, in 20 brief chapters, to what I think are the 20 most important ideas from the Buddhist tradition. Each chapter includes an introduction to the idea in plain English, based on my own understanding and experience. It may also include a discussion of how this concept has been understood or applied by practicing Buddhists in certain times and places, or how it has been understood by scholars of Buddhist studies, of course always using accessible terms, or how it played a role in an anecdote from my past, or how it can be illustrated by a thought experiment or an everyday situation. These chapters build upon one another, so it's a good idea to read them in order the first time. You will see that there's a general arc to the book. The first half largely focuses on Buddhism's promise that we can be liberated from suffering if we learn to see the truth about what's real and what's not. The second half focuses on the many ways that Buddhism has been practiced in the everyday world. While I have limited the use of technical Buddhist terminology, throughout the book I have provided some key Buddhist terms in italics on first reference, so that you can look them up on Wikipedia or another encyclopedia for further study. I mention books and other resources throughout these pages, but at the very end, I also have provided a list of some of my favorites if you are interested in digging even deeper into the ideas presented here. With those preliminaries aside, as your guide, let me be the first to welcome you to this brand new world. As you turn the page, you will be meeting a rich tradition with lots of things to say about what reality is like and how we should live life. Buddhism has a deep history of cultural diversity and many beautiful stories and inspirational sentiments. Along the way, I'll also point out some of the biases and contradictions. My intention isn't to judge Buddhism's track record one way or the other, but rather to give you an introduction to the most salient features of the tradition.